Hey, what's up, guys? Little man with a big opinion here. In today's video, I'm going to talk about how I prepare for vacation, going out of town. Um, Spring break's coming up for me. I've got the time off because I work at a school, um, and I'm going to see family. I did a video probably about a year ago discussing prepping while on vacation. I've adjusted that a bit, and I think it merits another video discussing some of the changes I've made. The last time I discussed it, I kind of broke it up into, are you within a tank of gas away from home? Are you further than a tank of gas away from home? And just kind of the mindset that I take uh, when leaving home. And for preppers that have stockpiled enough goods to the point of you don't have the capability of bringing it all with you. So for one, there's three of us going. My cousin's in a wheelchair. That takes up a lot more space. We've got our clothing. We're going to see a family member that we're bringing a lot of stuff to them. So the car's already going to be fairly packed, which kind of dictates what I can bring prepping wise. But, throwing a joke in there, I'd say I'm pretty good at Tetris, so, I'll make sure I bring what I want to bring. And every item that I am bringing allows me to, for one, I can carry it. I've got a nice backpack to carry it all in. And, in the worst case scenario, I can either set up shop at the family member's house, and typically you wait about 2 weeks after something happens before you want to leave, so the chaos can die down. But I feel confident in my ability to walk, ride a bike, hitch rides, get myself back home. Now, it really does suck because I'm going from northeast Texas up to the Chicago area. Although I think my aunt now lives like an hour and a half outside of Chicago. It's kind of one of those things of you say the big area because the town that they live in is kind of small. And so it's like 800 miles, and walking that, even if you're walking 10 miles a day, I mean, it's still going to take you like 2.5 months to walk home. With a grandmother and a wheelchair-bound cousin, it might take longer. But that's absolute worst case scenario. I would cut the time down even more because while I'm on road trips, I always maintain above a half-gallon tank of gas, and especially the way gas prices are, filling up, around that half tank spot will probably save you money in the long run instead of, running into, between empty and a quarter and then filling up gas again. So the car's got like 380 miles range, so probably get about halfway home. I'm considering bringing a 2.5 gallon gas tank, which the car gets about 36 miles to the gallon. So that's an additional, 80, almost 90 miles. So that's one of the items that, especially if you drive a truck, SUV, not a sedan kind of car, having an extra gas can, even if you run your car till empty, just knowing you've got that extra fuel you can put into it to get you to that next gas station if you absolutely had to do that. That's one of the first things. In your get home kit, you want to be as sustainable as possible. So it's still kind of chilly. I've got the Patrol sleeping bag, the standard Army issued one, in a stuff sack to make it really small. I have one rifle. I'm just going to bring my 22 based off of, weight requirements. I've got more magazines for the AR. I've got harder hitting stuff. But weight-wise, the 22 is all I'm going to bring. Maybe 200 rounds of ammo. And then I've got a off-brand, single burn, people typically say like the Jet Boil or something like that. It's just a small, butane burner. And then Mountain House meals and ration meals. And then we're going to have snacks for the road trip, trail mix. And we've got water in the car, but part of, the water stuff that I'm bringing is my Sawyer Mini. I'm going to put my hat over the camera or over my phone because it's starting to get hot. Well, let's do this like that. Okay. So, water-wise, I've got a bladder. It's like a 2-liter bladder, and one quart Nalgene bottle. I'm not super well versed on water sources on the walk home, but so when you're planning trips like this and you're thinking of your worst case scenario, knowing where fresh water sources are, kind of important. And then I'm just bringing a tarp, not packing a tent. So I've got paracord and not bringing stakes because I'll make stakes if I have to make stakes for a shelter. And then a couple of wool blankets because I only have one lightweight sleeping bag. If you're trying to prep for other family members and you're on a tight budget, you do what you can in that regard, and you kind of hope that other family members or friends that are involved in trips like this are involved in prepping or can at least throw something together for the trip. So, cousin's got a backpack, and we can put stuff in that, put it on the back of the wheelchair. So, we've got food covered, we've got shelter covered, we kind of have sleeping arrangements covered. It's rougher the older you get, and if you have other medical conditions, but you do what you can to get through your situations. So food, water is covered. Security is covered. I've got my hatchet and a just a camp style knife, full tang. And then another pretty important thing to bring with you along trips like this is cash. I plan on getting another 100-ish out in 20s. I currently have about 65 in cash. But for most of the trip, in the best case scenario, I'll still be able to use cards and take it out of the bank like they normally do. And a lot of what I'm planning and prepping for is outside of a 1 gallon, or not 1 gallon, 1 tank range of my car. Um, if you're prepping within that, the weight of your pack and what you're carrying can probably go up a bit, or it can also go down. There's pros and cons to all of these situations. I've been doing hiking preparation to do the Washita Trail, and my preparation consists of a 60-pound bag of concrete in a rucksack. And when I first did it, the mileage was 2 miles. Leg and lower body training, and every 2 weeks, so 2 weeks later I did 4, 2 weeks later I did 6. Every once in a while doing running and cardiovascular. And I'm doing that training with 60 pounds because the last time I weighed my get home pack, it was right about 50, 45, 50. It kind of depends on how topped off your water sources are. But the saying, train how you fight. If you don't practice with at least the weight of your ruck, then when it comes time to actually use it, then you can run into an issue. I remember reading one thing in history. The Russians did it where when they were first training their soldiers, they were using wooden dummy rifles that weighed like 1.5 pounds heavier than the actual rifle. And what it did is it trained soldiers to carry this rifle, and when it came time to actually give them the actual rifle, they were better soldiers because they had trained at a higher level than what they actually needed to. And so situations where it got rough, they were better prepared for it. So if your bug out bag weighs 20 pounds, train with 30, 35, even training 1 pound over makes the training better. If your bug out bag is 80 pounds, then you should probably be training with 90 or 100 pounds, or you probably should lower the weight of it by investing in higher quality equipment that weighs less. Normally costs more, and figuring out items that maybe can serve multiple purposes and stuff like that. So a little bit more talk of vacationing or leaving town when you only have to worry about you can get home within a gas tank. And it kind of pertains to being further away. Knowing the main fastest route is always a good thing, and with the invention of GPS and Google Maps or Apple Maps or whatever, it makes it even more convenient because Google Maps will tell you if there's an accident, and it's faster to go this way even though the speed limit might be lower or the distance might be longer. It tells you construction and all that sort of things. But even going up to the Chicago area, there's about 3 routes that you can take that will get you there, within the same, 20 to 30 minutes. And so, like, my grandpa, and some of these routes are newer, he likes to take the older routes. He's done them before, and, a GPS doesn't help him that much. But knowing more than one way to get somewhere, if Route A is compromised, then you accept Route B. Route B is compromised, Route C, you could it's a lot of information just in route planning, um, that it's almost too much for one person to think of all the variables for everything else and then know, 3 to 10 ways to get home. But just in your city, you probably know 15 different ways you can get home, and based on the time of day, you want to take this way or you want to take that way. At least knowing two routes, um, two main routes following major highways, whether they're national highways or state highways. But then having the map to be able to tell you, these are the back roads. It's going to take me forever to get there, but I can get back this way is pretty important. Also, having a map and having the map skills to be able to, if you're walking, to do it as the crow flies instead of following routes. It might save you some time. Um, you'll probably know better. I don't want to go through this marshy area because it saves me 2 miles of walking, but my feet are going to get wet. It's going to be a slow route versus taking this more established, better maintained, or just flat and dry route. A lot of things to consider, but having multiple ways home is super important, and having the gear with you to sustain yourself on your way home. The firearm is for security purposes, but it also might need to be there for, food purposes. If you had to walk that distance, you definitely couldn't carry every amount of food that you needed. Even if, you had horses and a wagon and, or even driving a car, say you could only go half the posted speed limit, so it doubles your time to get home. You probably can't have enough calories stored in your vehicle to get yourself home that way. So, packing the difference between comfort foods and, preparedness foods based on weight versus calorically dense emergency food, it's another thing to consider. But the biggest thing is you are better off, you're better prepared having the bug out, or it's not really a bug out, a get home bag in your vehicle versus all of your gear being at home, and when you're on vacation you don't think about prepping. It is a lifestyle that doesn't stop when you go on vacations. So something to consider. Big takeaways is maintaining at least a half-gallon tank on your vehicle for when you have to go long stretches of not being able to refuel. Having cash in case internet's down, electric's down, you can still maintain those transactions. And having the supplies to take care of yourself when you're on the road, versus at your home, your castle, where you've got weeks and months and maybe even years worth of prepping supplies put away. So I hope this video helps. In the comment section down below, let me know what you keep in your vehicle already as a get home bag, because most of us leave our home to go to work, grocery shopping, going out for social events. So let me know what you already keep in your car, and let me know what additions you put in when you have these long stints of being absent from your home, for vacation, long trips, maybe work-related trips where it's not, hey, come home and sleep in your bed every night kind of thing, and things that you would add outside of what I discussed in this video. So that's in the comments. Like the video if you enjoy the content. Share the video with your friends and family members if they would benefit from our conversation. And lastly, subscribe if you enjoy what I'm doing with my channel. I'll catch you in the next one.